Action.
Okay. Okay, so this is going to make it really easy, and I was just thinking about this now. Man, I should have been here in front of this board a long time ago, but we work on several fronts, a lot in the physical, but now we really want to start getting in this classroom and showing people exactly what's going on, and it's so easy for me to do it this visual way. So watch this. So as I was talking about before, the cabal is in itself a circle, okay? So how language works is, well, cabal means cable, so let's get that established as we talked about earlier. And the front of the cable connects to the back of the cable. And this gives us this ancient symbolism of Ouroboros, or the serpent eating its tail. This is also the ring of Solomon, or the ring of Saturn. So what happens here is that what the cabal really signifies also on a three-dimensional level is the sphere. Everyone has to know that a circle in itself is a two-dimensional sphere. So a cabal is also a world. And how this starts is, let's write some words down here. Word, world. Okay? And now let us define the word cabal. Ka means a spirit or soul. And Baal, most of the time written this way, means Lord. So what this cabal means is the spirit of the Lord. Now, we've already uncovered that we are the Lord's, we are the gods, no one else. So this means your spirit. So this is how the spirit gets programmed, is through the cabal, because as we talked about, A to Z, this is the actual ring. The actual language, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, forms in itself a circle when it's done, because the A connects to the Z. And then this wheel or program or disk, as you see on Tron, this disk is then placed into your mind. And this now is your program that you're running on. So this is what a cabal really is on the highest levels. Now, when it gets to the as below relationship to this, when it gets to the lower levels, it appears like this. Now, because this is you, the only thing that this world is designed to do, because it's a womb, is to divide you. This is also why when a child is in the womb, it goes through several states of mitosis and division before it can come out into this complex human being. So where the division comes in is that this is the original symbol of you. Okay? So in the level of a Time Lord, meaning a person who crosses through time and understands the dynamics of time, this is very simple, because to divide, you simply need to put a line through it. And this is how religion begins to formulate. This is the confusion that the God of the Bible says, let us go down and confuse them. And they changed their language, because they said before then they all spoke one language, meaning before then they were all collective. But after that they were introduced 72 languages, and there was much confusion. So we're going to see how this symbol, how it comes to us on the earth most of the time, is like this. The yin and the yang. Okay, so we're going to keep moving through this. So the next symbol, which is known the 3, is this one. Okay, because these are, all we're doing here is we're just dividing the circle. So everyone can figure this one out. The next symbol is this one. Then it starts to get strange. Because of division, meaning how you can actually divide a shape into a circle, when you get to 5, what you see here is a pentagram now. Not just a 5 pi, basically a pi with 5 divisions. You get a pentagram because pentagram is 72 degrees times 5 equals 360 degrees, which is our word for a circle. So this proves once again that all these circles are 360 degrees, but the degrees in how they're being divided kind of determines the symbol. So when we keep moving, We then get this symbol, and we're going to really explain what all this means. Next, we get another weird symbol because you cannot divide a 7 into a circle perfectly. This is the anomaly of the number 7. And we'll talk more about what that is really about with the 7 lords binding themselves together and 7 days of the week. People need to think about if there's 7 days of the week and each of them signify a planet and the moon. If they're now saying 768 planets that they've now proven to exist, not just the millions that also exist, but just those 768 that are registered, why don't we have 768 days in a week? It is because they're choosing to magnify the energies that they're already familiar with and they already have pacts with. This is what the controllers are doing. So you see here in the 7, another star. Actually, I didn't draw that very well. Let me start again. Start again from the geometric instruction. Okay, just a 7-pointed star, whatever, I'll get that right later. It's uneven. So what happens is, you get this other weird symbol of the 7-pointed star. Then you get, so we're back at numbers that can be divided well again, you get the 8-pointed star. And then you get the Enneagram, which looks like this. Okay? And it's not easy to draw at all. So, I think the 7-pointed star. Okay. For those who think I may not know my geometry, it's like, well, why can't he draw the 7-pointed star? I can draw all the stars. All this is the gauntlet. You run this. The wheels of time will make you into an entirely different being. It will activate all of your centers. So, these are the centers. Just like they say, oh, there's only 7 chakras. This is just as silly as saying there's only 7 planets. There's multiple chakras, but what they're choosing is to say, these are the chakras that we want you to use. Or even for your primary center, they're saying, this is the name of your primary center. You're to say this word when saying the mudra that corresponds to your primary center. And the reality is that you really have to know all this stuff and intone it. Because let's talk really briefly about the difference between intoning, because this gets also into the language in the Kabbalah, intoning and evoking. Okay? The main difference here is, without getting into too much detail, is that evoking is when you are calling something from the external to appear. So you use a voice. Intoning is you know how to say that voice within your mind louder than anything could ever be said externally. Because see, there's a limit to your voice. There's a limit to how loud you can go, but not in intoning. You can think the loudest vibration. And for those who are really connected with their thoughts, it sends out a beam. Well, your thoughts always send out a beam, but strong beams in the tense where if you know what you're doing with intoning. So this is the difference. So how this also works on the physical level is this is basically the baby. No sense. Basically, I said, man, you don't got no sense. The baby has not been taught anything. So it's innocent, which means no, innocent. Okay, no program loaded. So the first thing that the baby learns is good and bad. Right? Good and bad. Yin and yang. One of the oldest teachings here on the earth. You watch the mitosis of earth within its belief systems. So this begins.